What's up, guys? My name is Ben, aka Sang, and I'm back here again today with another Legion Pre-Patch class preview. In the last video I made, we looked at the Outlaw Rogue and some of the changes that were being made with that spec. Today we're going to look at the Assassination Rogue. Not quite as many changes as with Outlaw and Subtlety, but there have been some changes nonetheless. So just to recap, if you forgot from the last video, I am a raider with Exiled Power. We are a 2-day raiding guild on US Arthas, the Horde faction, and we are the top 2-day raiding guild on the server. We are 13 out of 13 Mythic Hellfire Citadel. Main a rogue named Nuck If You Buck. Been playing him for most of Warlords of Draenor. And so today we're going to jump in and look at the Assassination Rogue. Just two disclaimers. If you watched the last video, these will sound familiar. First, this is not a beta preview, so we do not have artifact weapons here. A lot of these class changes depend pretty heavily on your artifact and what kind of utility you're going to have from your spec and your artifact combined. There's a lot of interplay going on there, especially with Assassination. I know that's true. This is a pre-patch preview, so we are not looking at the artifact weapons or anything like that. Second, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about numbers in this video because everything is still changing. There's a lot of balancing going on every day, and so I don't want to give you bad information. And so mainly we're going to look at playstyle, possible utility for some of the talents and abilities, mainly from the perspective of a raider, since that's what I mainly do. And also, not everybody plays the game for the same reason. Some people play to raid like me, and so you really want to min-max and do the most damage, and that's what matters to you. Some people play pretty casually, and they just want to know how a rogue is going to play, and they're interested in assassination. So hopefully you'll get a little bit of all that information if you're interested in playing Assassination Rogue. So we will look at the spellbook and abilities. Then we will look at the talents, and then I will give some kind of impressions of the class. So let's go ahead and jump right in. A lot of these are going to be the same, but there are some things that have been changed or added since Warlords. Cheap shot, still a thing, 40 energy, melee range stun that requires stealth. You stun the target for 4 seconds, awarding 2 combo points. Fan of Knives, 35 energy, instant cast. Sprays knives at all targets within 10 yards, dealing 3,740 physical damage and applying your active poisons at their normal rate, awarding 1 combo point. So you can see they changed the animation for that. It's a little bit cooler. You kind of got some blood going on there whenever you do your AoE. The main thing that's important about Fan of Knives, though, is that it affects multiple targets with your poison, and that's going to be really important to remember. Cloak of Shadows still here. It's a 1.5 minute cooldown, providing a moment of magic immunity, instantly removing all harmful spell effects. The cloak lingers, causing you to resist harmful spells for 5 seconds. So still here, still strong. Feint still here, 20 energy, instant cast. You perform an evasive maneuver, reducing damage taken from area of effect attacks by 50% and all other damage taken by 30% for 5 seconds. Baseline, it just has the 50% AoE reduction, but I have a talent that's adding that additional 30%. A very strong ability, should be used pretty regularly throughout any fight. Crimson Vial's new. It's a 30 energy, instant cast, 30-second cooldown ability. You drink an alchemical concoction that heals you for 30% of your maximum health over 6 seconds. Garrote, 45 energy, melee range, 15-second cooldown. You garrote the enemy, causing 33,399 bleed damage over 18 seconds. It also silences the target for 3 seconds when used from stealth and awards 1 combo points. So one of the major changes that was made with Assassination is now it's kind of a combination of a bleed and a poison class. And so Garrote is probably going to be used basically on cooldown, since it's got a 15-second cooldown and 18-second duration. You'll see if I use this when the cooldown pops up, it does add time to it. So you can see it's got 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. I use Garrote again, and we're up to 20 seconds. So it does add time to the buff, but you're going to want to keep that up at all times because of the just the things that bleeds do for the spec. Distract, still here, 30 energy, 30 yard range, 30 second cooldown. You throw a distraction, attracting the attention of all nearby monsters for 10 seconds, usable while stealth. If you want to distract things, there you go. Kick, still here, it's our interrupt, 15 second cooldown. It's a quick kick that interrupts spell casting and prevents any spell in that school from being cast for 5 seconds. Envenom is still here, the main kind of finisher for Assassination. It's a 35 energy melee range ability. It's a finishing move that drives your poison blades in deep, dealing instant nature damage and increasing your poison application chance by 30%. Damage and duration is increased per combo point. So it's kind of a two-part effect. It does deal damage initially, and it also causes your poisons to afflict the target more frequently, which a lot of the damage from Assassination is going to come, like I said, from your poisons and from your bleeds. So Envenom is going to have a major role to play there. I still have Kidney Shot, 25 energy, melee range, finisher on a 20-second cooldown. It's a finishing move that stuns a target, lasts longer per combo point. So this is really buff, strong stun, 6 seconds at its max combo points, so that's really nice. Evasion, it's a 2-minute cooldown, increasing your dodge chance by 100% for 10 seconds, so really strong defensive ability. Mutilate, this is your main combo point generator. It's 55 energy melee range. You attack with both weapons, dealing a total of 14,698 physical damage, awarding 2 combo points. So this is the main way you're going to get your combo points as an Assassination Rogue. Picklock, Pickpocket still here. Shadow Step is now a baseline ability for Assassination Rogues. You don't have to talent into it. It's a 25 yard range on a 30-second cooldown. You step through the shadows to appear behind your target and gain 70% increased movement speed for 2 seconds. So you can see that here, and I'm running faster. That can also be used from stealth. Sprint still here, 70% increased movement speed for 8 seconds, usable while stealth. Poison Knife is new. It's a 30-yard range, 40 energy ability where you throw a poison-coated knife, dealing 2,698 damage and applying your active lethal and non-lethal poisons. It awards 1 combo point, so if you're having to run from target to target, you can use this to generate some combo points, and it does also afflict them with your poison. It's a 100% chance to apply your active lethal and non-lethal poisons, which I just realized I don't have those on. So here, I'll throw these on right quick so you can see that it does do that. So there we go, Poison Knife, throw it, and it's afflicted by both poisons. It's a 100% chance, which might have a role to play as well. Stealth still here, Tricks of the Trade still here. Rupture is another major bleed that's going to be really important for Assassination. It's a finishing move that tears open the target, dealing bleed damage over time, lasts longer per combo point. So Rupture, you're going to want to keep it up the entire time. You can see they did give it a new animation, so you kind of jam your daggers in there and then rip them out, throwing that bleed on. So basically that's kind of 3 of the major things that are going to be going on. You're going to want to keep Garrote up, you're going to want that bleed, you're going to want to keep your Rupture up at all times, and then you're going to want to use Envenom so you can go nuts with applying your poisons. Like I said, it's major bleed and poison gameplay. Vanish still here, still kind of the same. Sap still here. Vendetta, it's our big 2-minute cooldown with a 30-yard range. You mark an enemy for death for 20 seconds, increasing the damage your abilities and auto attacks deal to the target by 30%, and making the target visible to you even through concealment such as stealth and invisibility. So you can see you throw it up, you got that red kind of action going on there, showing that that's your Vendetta target, and he just takes increased damage. And lastly, our passives. We have Fleet-Footed. Your movement speed is increased by 15%, and you take reduced falling damage. Next, our Mastery, which is Potent Poisons, increases the damage done by your poisons by 128%. So it's just a baseline damage increase on poisons with Mastery. And I will note, this is just basic template character gear. Item level 680, and it's 128% increase of your poison damage with your mastery. So if you have a lot of mastery, this is going to be really strong, and it's going to increase the damage to your poisons a lot, which is why Envenom is pretty important. Seal Fate, another passive. When you critically strike with a melee attack that generates combo points, you gain an additional combo point per critical strike. So notice it says you gain combo points per critical strike. So, you know, if you're looking at Mutilate, you attack with both weapons. So if your attack with both weapons, if they both crit, that's going to give you 4 combo points because of that passive. So that's really nice. And then lastly, Venomous Wounds is a new passive where you regain 10 energy each time your abilities deal bleed damage to a poison target. And this is where a lot of your major energy regeneration is going to come from. So every time your Rupture ticks, every time your Garrote ticks, every time your Bleeds tick on a target affected by your poisons, you're going to regain 10 energy. So let's say you're AoEing, you're kind of going nuts, you're keeping your bleeds up, you're also Phantom Knives, using Phantom Knives to throw up your poisons on multiple targets, you're tab targeting with your bleeds. Every time those bleeds tick, you're going to regain 10 energy. So this is useful both for single target and for AoE. And that's kind of the core gameplay of Assassination, is going to kind of rest on that. So let's go ahead and start looking at the talents. This is where most of the changes were made for Assassination. Lots of choices here. I'm just going to talk about playstyle, right? It's not necessarily this is what's going to let you do the most damage, because numbers are changing so much. So level 15, Master Poisoner is a passive that increases the damage done by your poisons by 20% and their non-damaging effects by 20%. So it's just a flat damage increase on your poisons and their non-damaging effects. Next, another passive, Elaborate Planning, which causes your finishing moves to grant 20% increased damage for 6 seconds. This could be okay. I mean, it could be strong. You know, there's a lot of energy regeneration going on potentially for a multi-target Assassination Rogue, just because you have your bleed sticking so much, which is going to cause you to have a lot more energy to build combo points to do finishers. But I have found the gameplay style to be somewhat slow at times for Assassination, so you're not necessarily casting a lot of finishers, at least single target, so there's not a whole lot of benefit here as far as the increased damage, but like I said, that could change AoE. Next up is Hemorrhage. It's just a new ability. It gives you 30 energy melee range. You rip a gushing wound in the target, dealing 2,966 physical damage, and it increases the bleed damage from your abilities on the target by 30% for 20 seconds. So Assassination really depends a lot on bleeds, so Hemorrhage is just a way to buff the effect of your bleeds. So you put Hemorrhage up, and you're going to want to keep your bleeds up, and it's going to cause them to tick harder. But it is another thing you have to maintain. You're going to want to keep that debuff up at all times on targets that you have your bleeds on. So that could be really good. Next up, this is kind of your stealth based here. The first is a passive Night Stalker. It says while stealth is active, you move 20% faster and your abilities deal 50% more damage. This isn't going to play a huge role outside of, you know, the initial part of the fight when you're in stealth, and if, you know, you choose to vanish and maybe cast another ambush or something like that, it would cause it to hit 50% harder. The other passive is Subterfuge. Your abilities require stealth, can still be used for 3 seconds after stealth breaks. Excuse me. It also causes Garrote to deal 100% increased damage and have no cooldown when used from stealth, or 3 seconds after stealth breaks. So if you chose to use this, you would probably want to use Garrote whenever you're in kind of that initial stealth part of the pool, you know, and if you use Vanish, you could use that to renew your Garrote, and it would deal 100% more damage. Next up, Shadow Focus is a passive where your abilities cost 50% less energy while stealth is active. So, I mean, none of these are going to be real game changers because there's not a whole lot of stealth interplay with the spec, aside from, you know, if you use Vanish in the pool and when you're opening. But I'm a big fan of Subterfuge just because bleeds are so important and it can increase your Garrote bleed damage by 100%. Next up, this is kind of your combo point tier. This is the same as the choices that you have for Outlaw as well, and I believe for Subtlety too. First one is Vigor, which is a passive that increases your maximum energy by 50% and your energy regeneration rate by 10%. So baseline, you have 120 energy as an Assassination Rogue, but if you have Vigor talented, you have 170 energy that's going to regenerate faster. Same thing as Outlaw here, and Subtlety as well. If it has this, I believe it does. It's just going to speed up your gameplay some because you're going to have that higher starting energy and it's going to be regenerating faster. Keep in mind also that as your bleeds tick on the poison targets, you're going to get more energy, so it's just going to speed up the gameplay. But you know, at the same time, these are going to have some benefits as well you won't have if you go with Vigor. Another passive, Anticipation. You may have a maximum of 8 combo points. Finishers still consume a maximum of 5 combo points. This could be good, and with AoE it might certainly be something to keep in mind, just because with Fan of Knives you're going to be generating combo points on a lot of targets, or you're going to be bringing a lot of energy from, you know, your bleeds and poisons on multiple targets. And so if you're afraid of wasting combo points, you could go with Anticipation, but personally, I've never had a hard time in my time testing the class, like keeping track of combo points and making sure I'm not going to waste them. Because even if, you know, you have 5 combo points, you can always use a poison knife, or, you know, if you're running Garrote, you can use Garrote or Hemorrhage to get your last combo point. It's really hard, in my opinion, to waste combo points, so it's not incredibly effective in my opinion. The last passive option is Deeper Stratagem. You may have a maximum of 6 combo points. Your finishing moves consume up to 6 combo points, and your finishing moves deal 20% increased damage. So notice here that the effect multiplies a little bit. So if you look at Envenom, you can see that casting it with 6 obviously does more damage than if you cast it with 5, but you can also add 20% to that because you get the benefit from using 6 combo points and you get 20% increased damage. Basically, it's just going to slow your gameplay down a little bit because obviously you're going to want to cast everything with 6 combo points, and it's just going to slow down your gameplay. But once again, if you're doing multi-target and you have a lot of bleeds running, you have your poisons up, you could be getting a lot of energy, and you know, it might be a good thing to slow down your gameplay just a little bit. Next up is kind of your survivability tier. I have the passive on right now, Elusiveness, where Feint also reduces all damage you take from non-area of effect attacks by 30% for 5 seconds. I think this is incredibly strong. This is how you as a rogue are going to stay at the bottom of the damage taken meters, because anytime you know you're about to take damage, there's a mechanic going out, there's AoE going out, or you just want to help out your healers, you cast Feint and they're going to love you for it, and you're going to be able to survive really easily. Another passive is Cheat Death, where fatal attacks instead reduce you to 7% of your maximum health for 3 seconds. Afterward, you take 85% reduced damage. Cannot trigger more often than once per 2 minutes. So, say you necessarily don't want to be casting Feint as much, Cheat Death is a good way to survive mechanics. Sometimes you can even solo them and kind of help your raid out. I know you could do that on Zool and some other fights in Hellfire Citadel. And the last one is Leeching Poison. It's another non-lethal poison option where you coat your weapon with a non-lethal poison that lasts for 1 hour, granting you 12% leech. I don't think this is necessarily the best option for a raid environment, but for leveling, and for soloing content, it can be nice. Also, if you are really into doing like old content, like transmogs and things like that, because you deal so much damage to lower level mobs, leeching poison is a great way to solo old content. In really good gear in Warlords of Draenor, I can solo pretty much all of Siege of Orgrimmar as a rogue just by using leeching poison. Aside from bosses that have mechanics you just can't solo at this point, it's good use for that at least. Next up is kind of your stun or crowd control tier. You have Prey on the Weak, where enemies disabled with your kidney shot, cheap shot, or sap take 10% increased damage from all sources. So if you have mobs that need to die really quickly in raids that are stunnable, this can be really beneficial because not only do you do more damage to the target, but so does the rest of the raid, and so that's really good. And Internal Bleeding is a passive that causes your kidney shot to also deal 6,702 bleed damage per combo point over 12 seconds. This is really interesting because in Warlords of Draenor, if you ran Internal Bleeding and you cast Kidney Shot on a target and it lasted for the full duration, it actually dealt more damage than an Eviscerate over time bleeding. So sometimes it can actually be your highest damaging finisher if it goes the full duration. The new passive for Assassination is called Thuggy. It resets the remaining cooldown on Garrote when a target dies with your Garrote active. So this could actually be really, really strong also in a raid environment. You know, you're wanting to keep your bleeds up on as many targets as possible. This makes it so that if you have Garrote on a target and it dies, it comes off cooldown immediately. So you don't have to worry about necessarily, oh man, you know, I just threw Garrote up on a target and it died and I wasted it. No, it immediately comes off cooldown and you can, you know, tab, find a new target, things like that. So I think that could be really, really strong. Next up, there's a lot of interesting options on your level 90 tier. So first, we'll go ahead and look at the poison. There's a new lethal poison that you can talent into called Agonizing Poison. Coat your weapon with a lethal poison that lasts for 1 hour. Each strike has a 20% chance to poison the enemy for 12 seconds, increasing all damage from your abilities by 9%, stacking up to 5 times. Okay, note here that the damage bonus is increased by your mastery, and so mastery was the best secondary stat for Assassination Rogues in Warlords of Draenor, so obviously in Legion you're going to have even more of that. So not only would your mastery increase just your poison damage in general, it also would increase your agonizing poison damage, and I really think this is probably going to be the best option as far as providing the most damage. Plus it's really easy, you just throw it on, you don't worry about it, and all of your damage is increased by all your abilities stacking up. It's really nice. Also you have Alacrity. Your finishing moves have a 20% chance per combo point to grant 1% haste for 20 seconds, stacking up to 25 times. So it would just be 25% additional haste, and you know, if you cast a finisher with 5 combo points, which there's no reason you wouldn't, you will get that 100% of the time. My only kind of issue with this talent is when I was testing and playing with Assassination, trying to get an idea for how it was going to play. It's slower. It's a slower spec single target, and so it takes a really long time for you to build up your 25 stacks. Just like the nature of the class is, it takes a long time. And so I mean, I was doing the rotation for a couple of minutes, and you can see I still only have 4 stacks right now. Now obviously in a boss fight or something like that, I'm sure you could hit 25, but I think it's going to take you at least a couple of minutes to do that. It's really kind of slow, so I'm not a huge fan of this talent. It might be better in an AoE environment where you're getting more energy from your bleeds, but the haste isn't super helpful in my opinion. Next up, another ability is Exsanguinate. It's a melee range ability, instant cast on a 45-second cooldown. You twist your blade into the target's wounds, causing your bleed effects on them to bleed out 40% faster. So I'll build up some combo points and throw my bleeds up so you can see. So you see they're ticking down. I cast Exsanguinate and now they're ticking much faster. Which the one strong thing about this ability is whenever you do that and your bleeds are ticking faster, it is going to give you a ton of energy. I mean, I'm sure you saw whenever I used it, I was gaining energy basically as fast as I could use it, and that was just on one target. That's not even on multiple targets. And so there is some synergy here with having Thuggy on. So let's say you have your bleeds up, you have your Growth on a target, you cast Exsanguinate and it dies, it's going to come off cooldown and you can do it again, and then 45 seconds later you can use it again. And I know from watching some Final Bosses videos and some other Rogue videos that with your artifact weapon there is going to be some interplay between your bleeds and poisons, like even more so than what we see in this basic pre-patch tier, to where this could actually become one of your biggest DPS cooldowns, because you get an artifact ability that receives major benefit from your bleeds and your poisons, and so casting this is a major source of damage. That being said, I think at least right now, initially, and until you get your artifact weapon leveled up a lot, Agonizing Poison is probably going to be the strongest option in this tier, just because it's a flat, constant damage increase. So I think it's going to be really nice. Last tier, you have Venom Rush. It's a passive where Venomous Wounds grants 3 additional energy each time it grants energy. So if you remember, Venomous Wounds is a passive where you regain energy each time your bleeds deal damage to a poison target. So this makes it 10 energy with Venom Rush. Like if I talent Mark for Death, it's only 7 energy. So that's nice. It's just a flat increase. If you have a lot of bleeds out, you know, this could be a really strong talent for giving you really good energy regeneration. Mark for Death is pretty much the same, 30-yard range, 1 minute cooldown, where you mark the target, instantly generating 5 combo points. Excuse me. The cooldown is reset if the target dies within 1 minute, so you just throw it up and it gives you your 5 combo points, and you throw up your finisher, and there you go. And in a minute comes up, you do it again. So once again, this could have some strong interplay with ads. If you want to throw your bleeds up on ads, you just tab Mark for Death and just kind of use that to your advantage. The only downside is, and I think I actually said this wrong when I was looking at Outlaw, if you're using Deeper Stratagem and you have 6 combo points, Mark for Death still only gives 5. So it will not cap your combo points unless you have 5. So that's kind of unfortunate. The last passive, or the last ability in this tier, is Death from Above. It's a 25 energy finisher with a 15-yard range on a 20-second cooldown. So it's a finishing move that empowers your weapons with shadow energy and performs a devastating 2-part attack. You whirl around, dealing up to 8,243 damage to all enemies within 8 yards. Then leap into the air and cast Envenom on your target on the way back down with such force that it has a 50% stronger effect. So basically, it deals a minor amount of AoE damage, and then it is a stronger Envenom on a 20-second cooldown. So instead of using Envenom, you're going to want to use this every 20 seconds if you choose to run Death from Above. So it could be good. It's not really a huge shift in the gameplay style. Like I said, you would just use this instead of Envenom every 20 seconds when you're going to try and use it. Venom Rush, like I said, could also be really strong for an AoE based fight, in that you're going to regain, it's going to multiply. So one target, 3 energy per bleed tick might not seem like a lot, but with several targets it's going to be even more, and it could be really strong. But single target will probably be, I'm guessing, Death from Above is your best talent for that. And so that's it for the Assassination Rogue. Some just kind of general comments to conclude. At this point, from what I've read from people who have done a lot of the number crunching and stuff like that, Assassination is looking like it's going to be the highest damage spec for rogues, at least at this point in Legion. It provides good single target damage from your bleeds, and from what I've heard, it actually is, it's at least competitive, if not stronger than Outlaw on AoE even, just because you're tab targeting, you're throwing your bleeds up, you're casting Phantom Knives to keep your poisons up on those targets. And from what I've read, it's the best option for both specs, which in my opinion kind of sucks, just because personally I'm not a huge fan of the Assassination Rogue playstyle. It plays, at least single target, really slow in my opinion. Now, you know, if you're a min-maxer and you want to deal the most damage, maybe that's not a big deal to you, but I like to deal damage while playing an exciting spec. And to me, Assassination is not that. I think it could be on a multi-target or AoE encounter, but at least single target it's not that exciting. But if you want to play a rogue and you want to do the most damage, you'll probably be playing Assassination. And there's ways to make it a little more complicated. If you decide you want to run Hemo, you know, you decide you want to run Exsanguinate, there's some interesting things you could do there. But yeah, this is kind of the baseline of what it is. It's a bleed poison spec that plays kind of slow, but definitely some good potential for damage output. Other comment, I won't go into as much detail as I did the last time. At least baseline, rogues are stronger defensively than we ever have been. And that's going to be really good in Legion, because healers have to be more careful about who they're choosing to heal, and they have to manage their mana. And so with us having Crimson Vial, with us having Evasion, with us having Cloak of Shadows, with us having Feint, you know, we have strong abilities here as far as staying alive, being able to heal ourselves. Rogue's going to be really, really strong in terms of survivability, so we at least have that going for us. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below. I will get back to those as soon as possible. Would love to hear your feedback. Also, if you found this video helpful, please subscribe down below. That will help us out as a guild very much. Like I said, we are Exiled Power from Arthas, the top 2-day raiding guild on the server, and I am Sang. I hope this video was helpful, and I'd love to hear back from you. Thanks, we'll see you next time.